See those Hollywood hills? There's uranium in them dar hills. And if you don't believe it, you watch what happens tonight.
People are funny.
Ooh, people are funny.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to show you a recipe that Grandma never dreamed of. First, you take a generous assortment of long green, which is money. You stir in a legal document for mineral rights, and then you whip the whole thing together with a Geiger counter. And the three things add up to a uranium rush. And if you don't think the West is excited about uranium these days, you ought to get out in the field, every place, all over California, Arizona, Nevada, and the rest of the West, and see what's going on. The gold rush of the Klondike days is like a foxtrot compared to a waltz when you get into the uranium rush of today. And we're going to prove it tonight with a uranium rush of our own. Bring out our first guest, will you, boys? How do you do, sir?
Fine, sir.
Have a Geiger counter. A lot of people have never even seen those. You've heard of it, haven't you?
Oh, yes.
I'll tell you what you're going to do with it in a minute. Your name is?
Rader.
What's the first name?
Jim.
And how old a fellow are you, Jim?
30.
Married?
Oh, yes.
3 children?
None.
Oh, well, I'm just guessing, you know.
None.
I'm not arguing with you, you know that. What do you do for a living, Jim?
I'm a car salesman.
Uh-huh. Now, you're a pretty good salesman, I guess. I don't know.
Fair.
Ladies and gentlemen, this legal paper is actually an agreement for a property holder to sign over any mineral rights under his property to the Blue Sky Uranium Corporation. Now, you hold that. Here are $250 in cash. Now, this is the way it's going to work. You're going to be driven up to a subdivision up in the Hollywood Hills where there's plenty of free space all around. You pick out any house you want. It's up to you. Knock on the door, and when they come, ask them if they'll sign away the rights for uranium under their house and garden.
House and garden.
All around, right the property they own. You got that?
Right.
Now, the idea, of course, is that everybody's been reading about the uranium rush, and up there in the hills, which are right outside Hollywood, the people may be wondering if there's anything in their property. Now, if you can get them to sign this for nothing, do it. But you have $250 to play with. You must get one signature, and you must give away as much of the $250 as is necessary to get one person to sign.
Right.
All right, be good now.
Right.
Get a signature and come back and bring the householder with you.
Fine.
All right, goodbye. Say goodbye to him, audience. There he goes. Now, we thought that was a pretty good stunt to fit in with all the excitement going around, but it occurs to me that it could be better. It's a kind of a stunt that needs a little something extra, such as, shall we say, a double cross. Let's apply one and see what happens. After we selected Mr. Jim Rader out of the audience, I asked for hands among other salesmen in the audience, and we got another one. So bring him from the other side of the stage, and let's meet him. How do you do, sir?
How do you do, sir?
Your name is?
Cliff Nelson.
And where are you from, Cliff?
Palos Verdes.
And what do you sell?
Industrial property.
Married?
Yes?
Good salesman?
I think so.
Uh-huh. Been selling how long?
About 19 years.
All right. Now, this is the idea. I have a second legal document in my pocket. You heard what I said to Jim Rader?
Yes, sir.
He's going out and try to get a householder to sign up. Now, you're going to be driven in a car following his car. Our man, Irv Atkins, will be with him and will go along up to the porch with this man and watch him sell. You'll be following along. When Mr. Irvin Atkins flashes a flashlight behind him, that will indicate that this guy, Rader, is about to sign the householder on a dotted line. You got that?
Yeah.
When you see that flashlight, you leap out of your car, come running up to the porch, and yell, "Stop!" I represent the Householders Protective League. And if you sign that paper with these uranium people, miners will be in digging up your garden, bulldozers will ruin the street, and the whole neighborhood will be unbeautiful. You got that?
I got it.
And
I
get
got
them to sign this. Read what it says there.
We, the undersigned members of the Householders Protective League, do hereby agree to stand together to prevent mineral exploration of our property.
Now, be indignant, because if that guy gets that signature, you don't get a prize. You get the householder to sign yours and throw the other guy off the property.
Oh, that shouldn't be hard.
That shouldn't be hard?
No. Let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens. Flip, on your way. There they go. I think there's going to be some excitement out there tonight. Who you betting on? I don't know. That second guy looked pretty good, but the first guy has the money. Don't forget that. People are funny about money. We'll see at the end of the program. Say, I heard of the cutest idea to date of a way to park in an illegal zone and not get a ticket. The first thing you do is you buy a couple of tickets to a policeman's ball or show and keep them with you. Then when you park in a wrong zone, you put the tickets under your windshield. See? So when the officer comes along and sees your car parked there and starts to write out the ticket, he sees these tickets. And you know what happens then? He writes them out anyway. You get the ticket. It's no good. You got a ticket if you're a wrongdoer, and we're going to prove it tonight. Because out of the audience, just before we went on the air, we asked for hands of people who've gotten tickets. And we have a young couple here who tell us that the husband or the wife, I don't know which one, got a ticket. Hello.
Hello.
You're Mrs.?
Mrs. Adams.
And Mrs., how do you do, Mr. Adams?
Hello.
Which one of you two got a ticket?
He did.
Mr. Adams, where are you all from?
I'm from Wisconsin, Art.
Which part?
North, way up in the woods.
Really? Not from a town even?
Oh, well, not hardly, no. It's
What's
right...
it called?
Catawba.
Catawba, Wisconsin. Oh, and what business are you in?
I'm an automobile salesman for Lou Williams in Hollywood.
Yeah, we're loaded with salesmen tonight. And you got a ticket. What were you doing?
I really don't know. He says I made a left turn illegally, but I just don't feel that I did.
What do you mean a left turn illegally? You don't think the officer was right?
No, I was turning from Hollywood Boulevard down Vine Street, and he stopped me from making a legal left
What
turn.
did you say to him?
I told him he didn't do anything wrong.
And what did he do then?
He just started writing out this ticket.
You don't think you were entitled to get a ticket?
No, I don't think I was.
Didn't he give you a chance to explain properly?
Well, I tried to get him to explain, but he couldn't make himself very... I made a big mistake, incidentally, by trying to have him explain. I was in a real hurry to get down to La Cienega Boulevard to pick her up, and I asked him to explain this thing to me, so he pulls out this big pamphlet, you know, this whole deal. He keeps turning pages and explaining things to me, see, and before this, he tells me not to interrupt him.
And now he starts
I'm
reading.
standing there, and then he reads, you know, and I can't say anything, but I've got to go down to La Cienega Boulevard and pick her up, and I thought I'd never get there.
Oh, you poor fellow. We feel so sorry for you. Do you think he'd probably deserve the ticket?
I think he did.
And he thinks he doesn't. Well, I think the police department would like you better than they'd like him. Turn around to your left and see what's back there. Would you take a look? These are members of the Burbank Police Department, one of the finest police departments in the West, and we thought we'd like to have a few witnesses to your statement about why you shouldn't get a ticket. Now, from what you said, I don't know whether they're going to be real friendly to you, but fellows, we want to thank you for coming in and impressing upon him the importance of being a law-abiding citizen. Thank you very much. There they go back into the police station. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we get to the real point of tonight's stunt with Mr. and Mrs. Adams, is it? Mm-hmm. Doris Adams and Henry Adams. We know that in America today there's a lot of argument about who are the best drivers in a family. Who do you think's the best driver of you two, Doris?
I am.
You really do?
Mhm.
Why?
I didn't get a ticket.
Well, that's true. Do you maintain that in spite of that you still are the best driver?
I taught her to drive.
You did?
That's no
3 years
recommendation.
You taught her to drive? And what did you say to that?
That's no recommendation if he gets tickets, is it?
No, that isn't. So we thought that at least in one family in America, we would solve this problem of who is the better driver. And so tonight, we are going to have a little competition between the two of you as to which one is the better driver. But first of all, I want you to meet a man who is one of the top marksmen from the Burbank Police Department, Bob Smith. Bob,
Good evening,
nice to
Art.
have you with us. This is Mr. and Mrs. Adams, is it?
That's right. How do you
Bob
do?
Smith. Now, Bob, you are a crack shot, and I see you have your rifle with you here tonight.
Yes, sir.
And we want to demonstrate how good a shot you are. There's a regular full-length figure back there, and we're going to have you shoot at the heart that is pinned on that figure and show us what kind of a shot you are. Would you take a shot there?
All right, sir.
All right, watch there. Right in the middle of the heart. Did you see that?
Very good.
He's a pretty good shot, isn't he? Well, now, tonight, the stunt is as follows. Have you ever heard, Mr. Adams, of William Tell?
Yes, yes, I have. Yes.
He shot what off of his son's head?
An apple off of his son.
An apple, that is right. Tonight, if you lose the contest with your wife, he is going to play William Tell. But since this is California, we'd never use an apple. We have a grape. It's a small target, but you could hit it. I know you could. I have great confidence in you. And just to show you folks, let's go over here. You just stand right over there, and I'll stand right here. Just to show you folks how impartial this program is and how honest we are not going to just run a contest between the two of you without an impartial jury. And here is our jury. Boys, lower the curtain and let's see our jury. There are your pals, Mr. Adams.
Don't recognize him.
You don't recognize them. Those are the fellows you were talking about a minute ago here about how you got the ticket and you shouldn't have gotten the ticket. However, that won't. Fellas, you'll be fair, won't you? Absolutely. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Adams, this is the way it will work. I'll ask you each question, so we'll leave it up to the jury whether you're right or wrong. And if you win, you'll get $100 worth of Wright and McGill fishing tackle, Mr. Adams. Eagle claw hooks, rod, reel, lines, and everything. And if you lose the contest, Mr. Adams, we shoot the grape off your head. And he can do it. He has shot cigarettes right out of my mouth, and he is an expert target marksman. Now, Mrs. Adams, you're first. How fast are you allowed to drive in a 15-mile zone?
15 miles.
Jury?
Right.
Now, your question, Mr. Adams. Which side of the street, true or false?
What do you mean, which side of the street?
What do I mean? Don't argue with a cop. Is he right or wrong?
Wrong.
You're behind already. Now, Mrs. Adams. Mrs. Adams, is it unlawful to drive on the left side of the street on the sidewalk at night without lights and no driver's license?
Yes.
Jury? She's right, isn't she?
Right.
That's obvious. Pretty smart. Now, Mr. Adams, what is the speed limit on Southern California highways?
55 miles an hour.
55. Jury, right or wrong?
Wrong.
Foreman Stevens, why is that? Would you explain that?
We assume there's a heavy fog, and it is certainly unlawful to drive at 55 in a heavy fog.
Mr. Adams, you're not thinking. I said this was Southern California. And well, that's too wrong. Officer Smith, would you demonstrate once again that he has nothing to worry about even if he loses? Right in the center of the heart. Well, it seems like you're behind, Mr. Adams, but the contest is not over. Pull yourself together now. Mrs. Adams, your next question. How close to a fire hydrant are you allowed to park?
About 3 feet.
3 feet. Jury, right or wrong?
Right.
Officer Foreman Stevens, would you explain how you judge that to be right?
Well, the legal distance is 15 feet, but we assume that Mrs. Adams is talking about a fire engine.
Were you thinking of a fire engine? Yes, she was thinking of a fire engine. She's always thinking of fire engines. Now, I told you you'd get a fair trial, and these boys are thinking every bit of the way. Mr. Adams, here is your question. All drivers must carry operator's licenses. True or false?
True.
No helping from the audience. Did you hear them yell true out there?
I heard.
Right or wrong?
Wrong.
Foreman Stevens, would you explain how that is?
A chauffeur with a valid chauffeur's license does not need an operator's license.
I don't know how you could have missed that one, Mr. Adams. It's so obvious. You are apparently not the type to be trusted on the highways behind any kind of a wheel.
I can see why he gave me that book last night.
Come with me. Down here. Now, we'll take away that dummy at the end. We got another one here. All right, if you'll stand right here, we have the bulletproof shield behind you. You have your grape with you? No. What'd you do with the grape? Oh, I got it. Right here. Now, hold perfectly still.
I can't stand to lose any more of this hair.
Hold still. I'm going to give you air. I'm going to try to get it on end. There it is. Can you see that? All right. Officer Smith? All right. Now, don't worry. Just don't jiggle. He can do it. All right. What'd you say?
I've never done this before.
Well, try it. Hold perfectly still. What happened?
I must have run out of shells.
Oh, my gosh, he ran out of shells. Have you got another gun?
Yes,
Bring out the other gun, please. All right. All right, here it goes. I tell you, I never saw a guy that looked so uncertain as... Did you enjoy this?
Wonderful.
And I want to tell you folks, we have definitely decided tonight that the women are the winners among the best drivers of the United States. And we're going to send to Mr. and Mrs. Doris Adams to their home a beautiful original contour chair for you to rest in while he's out taking driving lessons. And to the fine members of the Burbank Police Department and your Chief Andrews, who really helped a great deal in making the whole stunt possible. And as a reminder to all of us everywhere that the officers are out to help protect our lives and our children's lives. Thanks very much for coming down. Good night. Earlier in the show, ladies and gentlemen, we picked two salesmen out of our studio audience. The first one was sent out to see if he could get a householder up in the Hollywood Hills to sign a legal document giving a fictitious corporation rights to the mineral uranium earth underneath the house. Unknown to him, we sent a second contestant, another salesman, out to be a representative of the Housewives and Householders Protective Association to try to get the householder to sign up that they wouldn't permit any miners to come in and dig uranium. Let's see which one was the better salesman. Come on out, fellas. They both came rushing down out of the Hollywood Hills. And our first gentleman, Jim Rader, you represented the Blue Sky Uranium Corporation. And Cliff Nelson, come on in here, Cliff, right on that red dot, and tell us, you represented who?
I represent the Protective League.
You don't want anybody to get your boys signed up to give up their uranium rights?
Absolutely not.
How many houses did you go to, Jim?
Went to two.
What happened to the first one?
Well, the fellow there wouldn't talk to me. He says it's too late. Contact his attorney, and first one thing and another.
He wouldn't go for it.
That's right. He didn't want to let the heat out of the house. His wife had a cold.
So he shut the door.
No, he didn't shut the door. He talked to me through the window.
Through the window?
Yeah.
Wouldn't even open the door.
Oh, he was interested when I showed him a bill or two, see.
But he wouldn't take the money.
Oh, no, he wouldn't unlock the door. He thought I had a disease or something.
Well, he's a suspicious fellow.
Yeah.
Now, the second house you went to, what kind of a reception did you get?
Well, they asked me to come in, and they were very nice folks.
And
Married
you
couple.
explained that there might be uranium because there'd been a
Yes,
nearby
I did.
strike?
I told them it seemed strong across the road on the high mountain there in the hills. I said, it seems the meter reads very strong there.
Well, you had the Geiger counter
Oh,
with
yes, yes. Reading it with dark with a flashlight, you see.
you. And the husband and wife were both there.
Oh, yes.
Now, did you have to offer them any money to sign this up? You had $250.
That's right. Well, at first I offered him $50, and the husband said no.
He wouldn't?
Said, no. He says, there's no uranium here. This guy's nuts.
But the wife?
The wife says, well, sign it, Marty. Sign it, you know. Kept putting her arm around him and all. Says, you sign it, Marty. We could use it $50.
And
So I says, well, let's sit down and talk it over. So we did, and she's eating radishes, so I got me a bowl of radishes, and I started eating radishes. Now I got indigestion. But anyway, I put another 50 with the 50, you see.
Oh, you offered him 100
Oh,
out of your
yes.
250.
Yes, I did.
Now, she was all for it, and he was against it.
That's right.
Did he begin to soften up and incline towards signing?
Yes, he says that, We could dig there if we wanted to.
Dig right down and
Sign,
bring their miners in.
yes.
Then what happened?
Well, finally the wife says, Marty, sign it. She says, if there's nothing here, we still got $100. Says, you can sign it if you want to.
So then what happened?
Then this fella come in.
Oh, yeah, I forgot to tell you that one of our dirty crooks who works for me, Irv Atkins, gave him a flashlight signal out the window, and you busted in, huh?
I certainly did.
And what did you say?
Well, I said that they just couldn't stand for it. We couldn't stand for anything like that in this neighborhood because we didn't want all our yards torn up and the ravages that would take place with a uranium mine underneath your house. And Mrs. I've forgotten her name now. She agreed with me and she signed.
And she signed that you can't dig up the property.
That's right. She went along with me.
Well, this is one alternative that we never thought would happen. Did you get the people back here?
They're here.
Bring them out and let's see about them. Come on in, folks. How do you do? Come on in here. Now, what do you do, Mr. Alderman?
I have a television service shop on Hollywood Boulevard.
Television service shop. What were you doing tonight, Mrs. Alderman?
Just visiting.
Just eating radishes, apparently from the report. You had had dinner, had you?
Yes.
Now, when this first gentleman came in, what'd you feel about it, Mr. Alderman?
I didn't think anything of it for a few minutes.
Well, do you feel that there's chances of uranium being around here?
I was amused. I knew there was no such thing.
You knew there was no such a thing as uranium.
Not here.
You don't think so?
Not in my backyard.
See, he's a skeptic. How did you feel about it?
I figured if there was that contract just said we're signing over the rights, I wanted a percentage too.
You wanted a percentage as well as the money, huh? Well, now, when this gentleman came busting in, I'm curious to know, what were your reactions then?
I'd rather not commit myself.
Why not?
Well,
he decided to sign, and I decided to sign that one.
In other words, you reversed your fields. Now, you at the start wanted to go for the money and the digging, and you didn't. And then when he came in, they reversed themselves. And you signed to get the $100.
Well, I signed and I didn't accept the $100.
I took it.
Now, let me get this straight. You signed to get the 100, and she took it, and she signed not to let them dig, but took your 100. You were playing both sides of the fence at the same time, aren't you? What'd you say?
That's my wife.
Well, I'll be a son of a gun. But did you take the money? You have the $100. All right. Now, you're going to keep the $100. That's yours to keep. And you got 150 left?
Right.
You keep the 150.
Well,
That's not bad for an evening selling, is it?
no.
You didn't get any money. You didn't charge any money.
Just had the police on our necks.
Oh, did the police show up?
Oh, yeah. The first house you went to, why, they called the police, and we had to put squat.
I didn't know anything about the cops.
Oh, yes. Neighbor next door, I was lurking in the shadows in the garage, and he called the police.
Well, I must say you're a sneaky-looking character in the shadows. Well, I tell you, you really had a rough time there, and you got a signature without any money or anything else involved, and managed to split this couple up. They'll be leaving for Las Vegas tomorrow. So we're going to send you married,
Yes.
and your wife on an all-expense trip on us to the Sahara Hotel up in Las Vegas aboard a big United Mainliner DC-7, and you can go up there for a week on us. And you folks have got the $100, haven't you? You're satisfied? Give me another prize back there, Irv. I'm going to see that they get one of the newest things in radio, the new little Regency radio. And it's a beautiful little present. You got the 150. You're a lucky guy, too. Thanks for helping us through. The people are coming. Goodbye.